Welcome to Beyond All Reason. This is a 1 vs 1 match that will hopefully be a roller coaster ride. In one corner, we have Pigz, a player who mastered the art of turning any advantage into an opportunity to lose. And in the other corner, it's TankTom, a man who treats subtlety like it's an option in the game settings. But the real fun doesn't stop there. Joining us for some commentary, myself, Twig, Pradith, who always knows the right move, and Bridicus, who will no doubt be dropping more bombs than Pigz will drop units. Buckle up, folks. Hopefully this is a wild ride.
You see us on Seth's Ravine, which is a diagonally symmetrical map with a large amount of valuable metal rocks in the middle, as well as some high ground 3.3 metals. If you can get T2 extractors onto those, they'll start pumping metal. We've also got island geos, which means anyone who goes air will have a power advantage. But the main fight of this will be the 3 contested lanes. Pigz is starting out with vehicles, which will be the first time I've seen them out of him. I'd like to see how he controls those. And Tom is going for a more standard bot start. We'll see how the mobility works versus the general tankiness of bots.
Bigger range in wind variant than the last couple of games that these guys have paired off against in. With a minimum of 2, so maybe a safety soul is needed for this game. We'll see how that win fares though. Looks like we're going for a rover rush.
Rovers are a good investment early on. They're very fast. They only cost 31 metal each. And if you can get them into the back lines, you only have to destroy a couple of wind turbines for them to pay themselves off. TankTom not known for building defenses early on, so this could be a very early advantage to Pigz.
As long as Pigz doesn't park them right next to things and blow the rovers up when the mechs or the wind blows up.
I'd personally like to see them park next to the comm. That'd be a micro mistake and a half. Pigz got a constructor out first, which is making its way around the map. However, he's energy starved himself as per usual.
Pigz managed to just send those first couple units in just a little bit quicker.
Oh, hello.
It would have been before the grunts got out, which are going to clean these up quite quickly. We'll see if we can do much damage beforehand.
Yep, definitely.
Sneak them out the back there.
One of the things you can do with rovers is, Tom with a micro mistake.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost him very much, only 1 extra wind, but could have been bad. Where possible when doing a rover fight, try and split them up into 2 groups, because it's very hard to chase down rovers. Their speed is one of the highest in the game. Unfortunately, not a lot of damage done, but even just taking 2 mexes like he did and a wind almost makes that a net neutral, because rovers don't leave behind much in the way of reclaim.
Good job by Tom resing that 1 wind.
Yep. Pigz moving straight into blitzers. Enough of those should help push up that ramp. Tom getting his first scout out with a resurrected rover. That's the first time I think I've ever seen one of those.
Looks like that Pigz has just dropped a couple LLTs in his back line. You want to try and move up to that halfway and use your choke points to be as far as possible.
TankTom putting his rover on a patrol. Unfortunately, it's going to patrol right into those blitzers. Let's see if he can't send it around the back and get some damage done on those mexes. He's definitely going the right way to do it. Pigz without a reaction to it is probably going to lose a couple of those mexes. Big fight coming up in the middle. Tom's pawns and commander against the blitzers. Should be blitzers to the advantage, and we'll see whether he tries to engage the comm or go up the ramp. Taking a bit of damage from the comm.
This is going to be a great snipe for him.
Yep. That constructor was set to build the mexes through the map. Unfortunately, it's not going to do that. And with only 1 LLT, which Pigz knows where it is based on the player views, Pigz hopefully can avoid and get through to the metal, which he has. Oh, he pushed into the wind. Unfortunate choice.
that rover is still going in that back line too. Pigz has been completely focused on those 4 blitz pushing,
Yep.
and that rover's just ticking away, picking mexes apart.
2 mexes down, third one on the way. And no defenses in the base, so if he pushes into the base, he might even be able to take wind. That is the most cost-effective revived. That's the most cost-effective revived rover I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, a little bit of
Or
energy, a
Halo
little bit of
ahead.
micro.
And
3
he's
mechs.
still not found it because he doesn't have a radar.
There we go.
He
It's
does.
been
There
taken
we go.
out, but one resurrected rover for 3 metal. I'd take that trade any day.
And he's about to waste all this energy on and metal on some LLTs when he only needs 1 there.
I wouldn't be opposed to him building 2, but 3 is overkill. 1 LLT would fall to a push of 5 pawns, but 2 will stop him dead in their tracks. Interestingly enough, TankTom has got his commander up in the middle, and rather than taking that 3.3 Mexus up the top, he's elected for defensive LLTs. We normally see Tom trying to take all of the map's worth of metal.
He must have heard you through the ether of. He's just walked up there now. And a very inefficient trade by Pigz, just sending 1 in at a time.
Yep. Wouldn't
But
be
hopefully
opposed if
he
he'd sent one
commits
as
to
a
this
scout, but
fight around
the fact that he's going around that LLT could lead to some significant damage.
and he's just keyed them over to be near those mexes, so I think he's going to do a good amount of damage now.
Nice.
Not
That's what
bad.
that's a good push. That's I'd definitely try and run the line for that.
Taking out another constructor is going to hurt.
Yep. Yeah, TankTom is not very far out onto the field, and he's been denied a lot of metal.
Love seeing that
Pig-
Pigz has broken off his units to another direction.
Yep.
That split's going to be interesting. As long as he tries to just ignore that LLT and just beeline for the back.
Yep. That looks like exactly what he's doing.
Nope.
He's also managed to
there we go.
hide. He's also managed to hide one of his blitzers down the corner. We'll see if that comes into play later.
Thank you very much.
He's still got 2 blitzers down there, actually. He's got one that's almost dead, and yeah, the one that's hidden. No, that's a great raid.
That's a great raid. 3 mexes, 6 wind. I'd sack that in no time.
Almost the last one.
Probably the best micro I've seen Pigz do to date.
Yep.
No, that was fantastic.
He's taking the lessons from past games to heart, though one of the things he needs to consider is the placement of his wind farm. It's outside of the build range turret, which means it's going up so slowly.
And the other thing he needs to do is get some more cons out and start getting that forward metal, because Tom's got it locked down.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Tom's been raided, but Tom's got more metal locked down. So
As you can
harder
see,
and harder to raid it shortly.
As you can see, Tom's also going with that 3 LLT hold. Seems to be a favorite for these guys, considering both of them do it. I don't want to see Bruticus. I don't want to see Pigz pushing into this fight. There's a lot of LLTs in the com around. A single D gun could shift that army as it has.
And there it goes.
Oh, killer D.
That's a big loss.
And the other thing too is
We're a
those
bit
scouts
closer
could have
than
been
I was-
first if he was going
I
to
think
take
that
that
was
fight,
close.
and then the blitzers.
Yep.
Scouts could have picked those
See that?
LLPs apart, and then the
Pigz.
blitz flip in.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
Twig.
right. No, sorry, my fault. Yeah, Pig's just not going with that expansion, turtling up, which is a classic move by himself. And by the
The other
time
issue-
Tom reclaims his mexes, it's going to be eco game over.
Yep.
Mm.
Despite the
And he hasn't even turtled properly. He's got three LLTs on one ramp, and the other ramp's got nothing. He's just relying on his army and micro.
Despite the
Well,
large
Pigz-
disparity, at the moment, our metal production is actually almost even, despite Tom losing everything several times.
Yeah, and that would be thanks to that reclaim.
Yep.
What Pigz should be doing now is maybe one Whistler and a couple of shell shockers. A Whistler for line of sight, so he can spot those LLTs, see where they are, and then he can ground fire with the shell shockers.
Yep. Or he could
Or a
bring his
rotor.
comm forward for a radar.
Yeah. Or any sort of construction unit. He really needs to get out of his base now. Actually,
With
he has. We
yeah,
just got
yep.
one going down here, just as we say it.
So if Pigz can control this side, oh, big battle going over here. Pigz is trying to push through the triple LLT. I don't see that happening.
This is where he needs like line breakers, like a Janus to shoot those down, or just shell shockers, or thingos to just clear them out quickly, and then you can bust in.
Yep. One of the things that you have to remember when you're attacking is that if you end up losing your units behind the enemy side, they get free access to that reclaim. So fighting on the defensive can actually be quite beneficial provided you win.
Yep, and Tom's got his red spot right there. Rebuilt that turret already, and now he can just eat all that metal. How much has he got there? 663. It's not cheap, but at this stage of the game, it's a nice chunk.
However, he is metal capped. And I wonder how long that's going to last. At the moment, he has wasted 107. We'll see whether that goes up much from here. He definitely needs to work on his build power.
Yeah, or at least get that com building a storage up the front for the time being, just so he can catch it all.
Yep, I hadn't even considered a storage. Looks like he's got that build power underway.
And Piggy Boy's getting a bit paranoid. He's got an AA turret going up in his base with another build power.
Yep. One thing that this heavy defensive position that Tom has taken gives him is freedom of information. Pigz is now unable to push through and unable to get new scouting information.
And those LLTs have paid for themselves because he's been losing LLTs, not mobile units. So he's managed to build a massive for this stage of the game army. While Pigz has just been feeding units after units. Like he had one good raid.
Yep.
And then he had an unsuccessful one. He should have stopped and reevaluated his strategy after that unsuccessful one.
It looks like we've got another fight coming up. And again, the blitzers are in front, which is not what we want to see. Those have high damage, but not a lot of health. So that was a loss of 5 blitzers for the cost of what looks to be 1 rocket bot. It's not a good trade at all.
No, he could have split those scouts into 2 groups. One attack one LT, one attack the other, hold the blitz back. Once the LLTs are down, the blitz run in and deal with the rocket bots and bugs and the scout support.
Yep.
Looks like we've got more units standing around doing nothing for Pigz, and we're going to see some metal lost with these thugs pushing forward. I don't know if this is a strategy to confuse his opponent or he's just forgotten about it.
We're going
to hear... He's bringing the wrong army back instead of bringing his defensive army forward.
Yep. Though combining the two to take a very strong trade, I'm not opposed to that. I would rather fight this army and only lose 1 or 2 tanks than fight it with half and lose most.
Well, if he sets himself up right, he could get a brilliant surround bonus by pushing one way and having the others come right up their arse.
Yep. Or as is happening now, he's pushed them into the LLTs, and even though it's not the most efficient trade he could take, it's not bad.
And the metal is very far away from Tom's front.
Yeah, so anything here is Pigz' business. He just has to actually take it.
He's got those shell shockers out too. He's been a good boy. He's been a good little piggy.
And thankfully they didn't hit his own units.
Almost.
Yeah, it was maybe 1.
Microwing is a bit of an art, but today we're watching 2 players try and paint with a broom, I reckon. Apart from that one run by.
Well, look, I'm very happy with Pig's raid that he did earlier with those blitz. And the fact that he's got some shell shockers out now.
Yep.
All he needs to do is just get a scout, a whistler, or a radar up there.
Yep.
Fortunately, he's just going back to the same 2 units. He's building 1 scout to 1 blitz, and I think he's really wanting this push through, but don't know if he's going to get it.
It's enough to break through. It definitely is, because Tom's units are out of position.
But that reinforcement that he's got behind, all those thugs being produced.
All he's got to do is get those shell shockers in place and fight this one defensively.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a radar though.
But he knows where he knows where the turrets are. Oh, this is not how you fight with shell shockers. If you're not going to use the shell shockers for their range, then I wouldn't recommend building them at all.
Building them at all, yeah.
Yep. Tom is pushing another force around, this time, well, because of where Pigz' rally is, there is a defensive force ready to fight it, but we'll see whether he actually reacts. Tom is riskily using his comm to push around and build the metals outside of his defensive cordon. I like seeing this, though it is a big risk. If Pigz had radars around the map, he'd be able to isolate and kill the comm.
Any new player should know when you're rallying the waypoint of your vehicle, bot, or whatever lab, it's best to set it up to your front line rather than into your back line.
Yep. And we've got 2 fights going on at the moment. Frontline fights doing reasonably well for Pigz. He's managed to kill some bots without taking any real damage. And the backline fight looks like it's being cleared up. Even though we were just saying that the rally wasn't the best one, it's working out for him just because of the pathing that TankTom's taking.
Well, there's 2.5k metal sitting in front of Pig's base. 2.7 actually.
Yep.
The
metal, Tom has produced an extra 6,000 in Pigz.
Yep. Though Pigz is about to get an influx of 2.6k. Finally taking his comm out of the base.
Well, if you look down the south side of the map.
Oh, I like to see it. Tom knows that it's very hard fighting into those tanks, and after a couple of unsuccessful pushes, it looks like he's going to go with a completely different strategy. We'll check back in once it's actually finished some units, but the first thing coming out is a bomber assisted by the comm. I like seeing that.
Pig's done well. He's got his construction vehicle up with his shell shockers now, and he's dropped the radar so he can actually start picking away at things.
Nice. That's the sort of positioning I
disadvantage.
want to see. Shell shockers with the tanks in front.
One disadvantage of having so many construction turrets in the base like Tom has is his commander struggling to compete for getting the metal out because it's all being prioritised back at his main base.
Yep, we say this a lot, but you've got to manage that. You've got to manage your resources. If you're trying to do that air transition right now, you know that you're losing the frontline war. You actually need to stop the production of those T1 units and try and mass air and see if you can't beat Pigz and snipe his comm before you lose. Throw in one, maybe 2 scouts in there for the extra range, because bombers have absolutely no vision range.
Oh, I thought for a second he was going to send his tanks down to that wing.
The question is, why would he? There's no indication that Tom's got anything down there, and because he doesn't have his comm up the front with the army, he's relying entirely on construction vehicles to build his radars.
I do like that Pigz has built a bot lab just to get a reclaim going on his front line, but
Absolutely too much.
now he's not got enough build power.
Yep, and impatience on the front line. Losing most of his tanks by pushing in when he could have just kept shelling. Though a mistake on Tom's behalf to not keep pushing in and take out those shell shockers.
Remember, Tom's in danger now.
There we go.
Thought he
This
was
is probably
there.
game over.
Oh, that's a lot of units. We'll see if the D-guns are good enough to pick him off. Looks like they are. I don't reckon those last couple of thugs will be able to take Pigz on. However, TankTom now knows exactly where the comm is.
There are more thugs.
And there's
heading up
more
now.
units coming on the way.
Although Pig's army's rallying around there, and he's got a fair bit of an army there as well to block that choke.
Yep. I reckon for now
Probably
his comm is reasonably safe, but the scouting knowledge of that is worth the entire cost of the endeavor, because as soon as TankTom's air is up and running, a single bombing run will take out that comm.
Now Pigz is reclaiming all his metal. I think he's going to be overflowing shortly because he doesn't have the build power in his base.
2 build turrets by 19 minutes is not enough.
Tom's going to reclaim that 3k sit in front of his base, so those bombers are going to come out even faster.
Yep. Currently sitting at 9 bombers.
And Pigz once again
maybe
wasting
not.
another army over on the left-hand side, just going
Push them
in,
a
losing
little bit
almost
too
all his
far.
tanks, and then running away.
Yep. Time and place for these sorts of things. 5 tank raid at 20 minutes is most likely not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Tom
We've
did
got
do
Tom's
most of the
air wing
damage at
coming
the
in.
start.
And Pig's army is out of position with Tom pushing in on the comm. Again, no radars to spot this.
Place your bets. What is it? The thugs or the bombers that will get the comm?
The bombers will get the
Take your
comm.
bet.
Why did I think
Oh, maybe
that was
not.
coming?
Tom just has them on an area attack command.
Oh, he's changed it to the commander.
Yeah, I was going to say he's just about to bomb his own thugs. He's lucky he changed.
Nope, he's
Well, that missile turret's doing overtime at the moment in Pig's base.
Yep, getting quite a few.
Oh, this might be the end.
Yep.
I
this
might
is-
lose that bet. The thugs may well get Pigz.
What are the bombers doing? They're going for mexes now. One's going for the com. Now
Yeah.
everyone's going
I've got
for the
no
com again.
blooming energy.
And
Well done, Tom.
that was a
totally a
combined
pug
effort.
shot.
Well, that was an
You owe me
interesting.
All right.
That was probably the best game I've watched tonight.
Yeah,
We
went one way
definitely
than the
had
other.
some. Both players definitely got some excess metal from from all of that fighting and all of that reclaim, but better off having the excess than not reclaiming it all. Reasonably even on damage as well. They just kept fighting, and the engagements were very back and forth. Let's
Pigz
see if
did
we've
have
got
the early lead on damage, but it came back the other way. And now Tom, by the end of the game, had done the most damage. Have we got you guys in the game now in the chat?
Yes, we're here.
Pigz, what about
Hi.
you? Have you managed to join us?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, Pigz,
Hey.
such a strong early start. You managed to push into Tom's base several times. Great, absolutely great. As unfortunately, you weren't quite able to capitalize it, but that's exactly what we want to see out of you in the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Now, do you
Um,
think because you got the taste of that, that was the taste for you for the rest of the game? You just wanted to push your units through his defenses and keep going. Is that why you kept running those armies trying to breach those LLTs?
He's just dropped.
Very unfortunate.
He'll be back. There he is.
Here he is.
You definitely did a good job with that early push because it had me concerned when basically my entire eco got wiped a couple of times in the process of trying to get it back up and running again.
Yeah, I got you with that one.
So the next one's though, Pig. Did you what was the reason for trying to push after the point that he had his defensive line up? Did you not think that would maybe feed him a bit too much metal?
Yeah, what I was trying to think of was how do I break that? And like,
Well, you
know,
actually
like, how
answered it
you-
yourself in the game. You built those shell shockers, and that's how you break the bot's range. And
yeah,
unfortunately, though, you kept running those brutes into the LLTs instead of just using a radar and just shooting from a distance and keeping those brutes
Yeah.
there as simply a wall to stop him from attacking your shell shockers.
Because those shell shockers,
yeah. I
you
need a
don't
bit
need
more
to push.
practice with that.
You didn't need to
Yeah.
push. You could have sat back and just played the psychological game because it gets so annoying with shell shockers just plinking away at you that you can get Tom to come out and then you're fighting Tom's army outside of the LLT range. That's something to consider. Or maybe if you can't get a radar up to the front, a whistler or a rover, and that gives you a bit of a line of sight. So you just move the rover into just before the LLT's range. You can spot where the pings are and you can just blink away.
Question on the
Yes.
early game picks. You did a real good job getting in there, doing damage. You were in the lead for eco and damage dealt. But then you built 3 LLTs that bothered me a little bit in the back line of your base rather than going forward. What was the reason for building 3 LLTs on that one choke point rather than bringing that
Well, if
choke
you
point
look-
up to the next line and then being able to capitalize on so many more mexes?
Yeah, the reason what I was worried about because obviously he got a rover in there earlier, and that's what I was worried about because obviously I had no protection, and I thought, well, if I have them there,
I
that'll
was just
protect
returning the
them.
rover to your base.
Set. Sorry.
I was just returning your rover to you.
It was a resurrected
Yeah.
one.
Well, you know what I mean. So that was my idea to protect that. Well, at least then I know right.
Well,
I've got
one
that
LLT,
protected,
fair
and I'll
enough.
move
But do you
forward.
think that was the point? Do you reckon you're sending a message to yourself that you're going to just turtle up and defend a small area
No,
rather than
no,
try and
no.
capitalize on the whole base?
No, I was making sure that the trouble is I've done this before, and I've done this against you, where I've just had one, and you had more, like, you know, your army was bigger than I was anticipating it
Yeah.
was. So I thought with
But my
3,
question is, why not
it
build
was-
those 3 further forward rather than in your back line?
Well, because that would not protect. Well, yeah, I suppose you could. Where that centre, you know, that there was a 3.3 mech, and I noticed that.
Yeah.
And I suppose what you mean is there,
Yeah, why
somewhere
not
around
build
there. I
there?
think
And
is
then
what you
that's
mean. Yeah.
essentially what Tom did, but on your side of the base, where you've got 2 choke points right at the back, or 2 choke points in the middle. Always, my advice would be build those choke points as far forward as possible so you can capitalize on the eco, because that game was a classic game that we see you play where you do real good starts, but then the eco ends up winning the game, and Tom was just able to punch out a lot of thugs and do consistent damage.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's the part that I have to learn now. Obviously, I've got to start a lot better than obviously when I started.
For sure.
Yeah, you were definitely a nuisance early in that game.
A nuisance.
I like to be a nuisance.
It up.
I'm a nuisance constantly, never mind in a game.
If that was
Banter, doesn't that make you want to just play another game, Pigs, and don't worry about going and helping your mum this afternoon?
No.
All right.
I'm sorry, guys, but you'd never ever, even though Pred's got the loveliest voice ever, he will not compete with my mother. Not in a hope in hell. I love my mother to death.
All right, thanks for that game, guys.
Yep. On that wholesome note, we'll let you guys go. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Bye for now.
See you, mama's boy.
That was a good one.